Hi, I'm Krista.
And I'm Sarah.
And we have this podcast called Have We Talked About? Where two friends at different points in their lives chat about everything in their lives.
From current events to pop culture, from self-care to self-indulgence, and everything in between.
Join us weekly to see what we talk about next. Hey girl.
Hey, what's going on?
Not a lot and everything all at once.
New week, new episode. Are you ready for this week's topic?
I mean, I hope so. I would like to think I have a bit of real life experience to apply. Otherwise, I think I have bigger problems ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are we talking about today, Krista?
I think what we're talking about today is the realities of adulthood. Mm-hmm. Being an adult and what it's really all about, because it's not what you think it is when you're a kid.
100%. Like when you're a kid, all you want to do is grow up and become an adult.
At least that's how you feel in your teenage years.
Yeah, you're like, ugh, I don't care. I just want to be older. I just want to be older.
I just want to
right?
make my own decisions.
It's just like, no, you don't. You really don't.
I just want to stay up and do what I want when I want. And it's like, well, be careful what you wish for, because it's very different on the other side of it.
100%. And also, you're only considered a kid for such a short time in your long life. Ooh. And then you're an adult for such a longer time. Enjoy being a kid, enjoy your childhood, enjoy all that, because being an adult is it's tough.
That's such an insightful and poetic thing to say, is that most of your lifetime is an adult, not a child.
Exactly. I also think that children, whatever you want to say, they look at adults and they think that, oh, they're so smart, they got their life together. Yeah. They're so knowledgeable, they got their shit together, they know what's going on. But then when you become an adult, you're like, oh yeah, no, we're faking it till we make it at this point.
Which means forever. I mean, I definitely thought that when I was a child, looking up to my parents. I thought that they knew everything, had everything under control, could solve every problem. And then you become an adult and you realize, well, shit, my parents were just trying to do the best they could with the information they had. It was a guessing game for them too.
Totally. And you look at your aunts and uncles and friends and grandparents or whatever. But then when you grow up, you're like, oh yeah, you don't have your life together. What's going on, right? It's crazy how it changes.
Well, I do want to give grandparents kudos though, because I feel like they seem to really be able to give you the wisdom and the life lessons. Somehow they figured it out, and maybe that kicks in around the age of 65 or 70. But I remember my grandmother always kind of giving me pearls of wisdom, and I'm like, shit, I don't care, Grandma, but
but now I do.
Now I'm like, I can appreciate it. So I think one of the biggest things, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, is that we kind of touched on that they don't tell you about when you become an adult, is that you feel like you have freedom, but you actually don't. There is no true freedom in being an adult. Mm-hmm. It's actually a big marketing scheme. It's the exact opposite. You're tied to a job. You're tied to, being able to show up for friends, show up for family. You're not free. You answer to somebody.
Valid. And I also think when you're a kid, people paint this picture of when you become an adult, it's going to be unicorns and rainbows and butterflies. But then when you become an adult, you're like, wait, where is that rosy picture? Where did that go?
I think I remember, or maybe I didn't remember when it kicked in when I got my first job out of school, where it's like, there's no summer break.
Right. Where's summer? Oh, I have to work through that? No.
Even my nephews to this day, they're like, Auntie, you don't get summer off?
It's like, I wish.
It's like, no, that's why I'm telling you, don't rush to be an adult, because it's not fun over here.
Yeah. It's so true. And now, again, having my own kids, I really try to, I don't want to talk about adult things around them, or I just want them to enjoy their childhood, because childhood is a very, very short time.
Truly.
In someone's life. So it's like, be a kid, scrape your knee, climb your tree. I don't even care. Just be a kid. Don't worry about anything.
Can you be my mom? I'm hitting my nephews with all
Because
the real life anecdotes. It's like, life is a struggle. You need to build some resiliency.
Well, your nephews are in their teens, no? And my kid is 3.
Well, yeah. My youngest nephew is 10, but yeah, they're all double digits at this point. So valid.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go to little Hayden and be like, toughen up, kiddo.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes I see parents, maybe they'll like, oh, I don't know if you can, join that activity. It costs a lot of money. And then, we're worrying, we're trying to save for this. It's just like, why are you putting that stress on them? Don't do that. They'll have money problems when they're older and they'll worry about that, like, don't stress them out with that. That's your issue, or you need to figure that out. Like, just say like, maybe not now, but maybe later. Like, I don't know.
Right.
That's how I see it.
I think some parents inadvertently do show that side of adulthood to their kids really early, though. And I don't think it's because they mean to, but the reality is that kids can be relentless when they ask for things. And sometimes like, not in a toddler age, you wouldn't necessarily give them that type of news. But as they get older, you're like, we just don't have the money. And so then the concept of money or not having money definitely becomes prevalent early. But
Absolutely. And I agree with that. And then it's like, okay, well, when you turn this certain age, that when you're able to get your first job, go for it. I totally support that. Absolutely.
Nothing like making your own money.
Right?
As
exactly.
a teenager.
Yes. When do you consider someone to be a quote-unquote adult? Because I feel like people consider adults, there's like a wide range of ages.
Yeah. I think my answer is going to be a two-parter as per always. I mean, legally, in our country, it's 18. That they can be held accountable. They can vote. They can be, tried as an adult for a crime. Like, that's kind of the standard. But it feels like you really aren't pushed out of the nest to, like, really go out there and make your own decisions until you're done post-secondary education, I feel like. So whether that's your 2-year college program that takes you out at 20 or your 4-year undergrad that takes you out at 22, that's where you're expected to, like, do something of your own choosing and figure it out.
Right.
What do you think?
That's valid. Yeah, no, I think the same. I think, like, legally at 18, you become an quote-unquote adult. But I think at the end of the day, the brain doesn't reach full maturity until 25.
Is that true?
And I also feel like that's a fact. But I also feel like, if you're 27 and you're still living at home, but you have a job, are you considered an adult?
Ooh, you're hitting on a very interesting thing, and I think that we should clarify for the viewers that in Canada, it is not uncommon for kids to live at home with their parents until close to 30, late 20s.
Just because everything is so expensive.
And there's some cultural things there too, where you don't move out until you get married. For like European cultures, Caribbean, it's kind of the same, where you're like, nobody's being pushed out of the nest at 18 unless they have a reason to, like marriage or something of the sort.
Right.
Which is very different than our southern counterparts, where it's like 18, good luck.
Kick you to the curb. I also feel like, and this is my personal opinion and perspective on this, so I might get some backlash, but I also feel like I don't care what age you are. I consider you an adult if you are paying your own bills.
Ding, 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 ding. I agree with that. When you're able to pay and suffer consequences financially on your own, then you, by default, are an adult, 100%.
Yeah. If you are renting a condo in this city, but mommy and daddy are paying for your rent, you're not an adult to me. You're a fake adult and you're just pretending.
I can agree with that. The responsibility is not yours. You're just living, you're taking advantage of the circumstance that's been provided to you, but you don't have to worry about like missing a payment for rent or missing a mortgage payment. And that's like real life adult shit.
Exactly. And if you're not responsible for things like that in your life, I just don't think you're considered an adult.
What if you pay your own rent, but you don't pay for your own phone plan?
I think that's different. Like maybe you're on a family plan and maybe you got like a sweet deal. Fine. But you pay everything else. Fine. Like you're just trying to find the best, savings. Because here in Canada, phone plans are expensive. Yeah. So that's fine. Like, but if you're paying everything else, fine.
Yeah, there has to be a certain, I guess, ratio of like paying your own bills versus having them paid to like be like, yeah, adult status achieved.
Exactly. Exactly. Achieved, and now you're suffering.
Next level unlocked.
Yeah. I also thought when I was younger, because I've mentioned this in previous episodes, like I'm in my early 30s. If I was a kid and someone told me they were in their early 30s, I'd be like, oh my God, you're so old.
Yeah.
Like I still feel like I'm like late 20s.
Oh, that's good. I definitely don't feel like late 20s, but I do really wish I could redo late 20s, because now I'm like, I have such a different mindset, because when you're in your late 20s as an adult that changes as you get older is that you think you know fucking everything. You have it all figured out, and you're still not even really paying real bills yet at that point, but you just know every fucking thing. But then at the same time, you're not taking the same risks that you take when you're older, when you have more responsibility. And I would definitely take a lot more chances if I could go back.
Makes sense. I just thought that, characteristics of growing up, maybe that's like gray hairs, maybe that's, you party one night and you have a hangover for 3 days. I thought that would come later in life. No. It comes a lot earlier than I expected.
Valid. Like your body does not recover the way that it did when you're younger. No. At all. Like all-nighters, unless you're a parent, like they just cannot happen. Like, no. You're wrecked. Hangovers, like, you might as well just, like, admit yourself to the hospital, because that's going to take a while to recover from.
100%. But then it's like, oh, I only had, like, 2 or 3 drinks. How do I feel like this?
Right? Like, I need to be put to connected to an IV. Like, I need a drip.
100%. Or like literally like you get out of bed weird and you're like, oh, my back hurts. Like, what the heck?
Oh yeah. I have to make sure everything's in the right place and setting when I go to bed, because I can't afford to get like a crick in my neck, because God knows when that will go away.
Exactly. No, it's so true. And like I said, like I literally thought all of this would happen later.
Yeah, you think it happens in your 50s.
Yeah. No, it happens a lot earlier. So anyone who's young out there, get ready.
Yeah. Your body does not bounce back in the same way. Even if like you want to do something good and start a workout routine, be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. You're going to be freaking sore for the next 4 days.
Yeah. And you're going to regret every choice that you made.
It's so true. What other things have surprised you in growing up?
I don't know if they've surprised me, because, what do I want to say? I think as an adult, you realize that it's not like how you were taught in school, that everybody should share and be kind to one another and think of others. Right. That as an adult, people are only thinking about themselves, and it's self-preservation. And you really experience that, I think, in the workforce, where you feel like you're making friends, and then you realize everybody is moving themselves ahead, and they're going to do whatever is required to get there. And it doesn't mean it's always malicious, but the reality is that people are going to save themselves and not look out for you, like in kindergarten when someone shared a snack.
Right. You're like, in the corporate world, you're the only person that's looking out for yourself. No one really is looking out for you other than you.
Yeah. I mean, in not only like in the corporate world, in like any kind of job. It can be
valid. Sorry, valid. I also think I look back at pictures of myself, high school, post-secondary, first job, second job, and then I was like, I thought I was big. I was so skinny. Even I look back pictures like 5 years ago. I'm like, I was so skinny.
I know.
And I'm like, damn. So body changes too, which is really fun.
Well, I mean, valid that you're at this moment creating your second human, so it's expected that your body has changed a little bit. I've not created any human, and my body has changed. Like, it's real for females where you're like, when you thought you were fat and you look back at those pictures, you're like, body dysmorphia enabled, because it's the opposite. You're actually stick skinny, and you're like, I was fat, and you're like, no, you're fat now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you might not be fat now, but you weren't in that good of shape. You're not that good of shape anymore.
Well, yeah, I think another thing about adulthood that becomes less and less what you have more of in your like early 20s, that you then basically have to balance is time. Like, I was skinny, drinking my water, working out, because I didn't have any real responsibilities yet. Those slowly increase over a period of time.
Valid 100%, because like maybe in your 20s you're renting a place in the city and you're hanging out with friends, you're going to your job, you're just having fun. But as you get older, then maybe you'll buy your own place. Oh no, then I have more bills to pay. Then I have to maybe save my money and eat at home.
Oh my God.
Then
bring your lunch. That's one thing about adulthood.
So much more. Yeah.
Like, I have to make a lunch.
Well, Krista, do you bring your lunch?
I always went through phases where I would bring a lunch and prep. I've always split between the two. In my early years, never brought a lunch. When I got my own place and had to like have a mortgage, I started to like cook and bring my lunch more.
Yeah. Valid. That's a good point. And also just like, I just feel like money in general, like when you're young and you're like, oh my God, I totally want to like redo my bedroom. This is so exciting. I want to get new furniture and I want to paint. Oh my God, I love this. But then when you get your own place, whether it's a rental, whether you own it, whatever, and then you go to the store and you're like, oh, that's cute. You look at the price and you're like, oh, damn.
But
there goes my whole budget.
You're still excited to do it though. But now you have to pay for it.
Yeah, but it's different. Exactly. I think that was a shock to me, because I remember moving to the condo, in the city, and then I was like, oh yeah, let's like make our place so cute. And then I looked at the prices, like, yeah, you know what? Like, this is fine for right now.
Where was your condo located again? Were you in the downtown or midtown?
Yeah, it was like Young and Bloor area.
Got it.
We had two. We rented two.
It's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah. And then I also just feel like the older you get, you have more responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Maybe your job is a little more stressful. Life's a little more stressful. Things are a little chaotic. You're busier. It's just a little harder.
I think that's a little bit different than when our parents were in the workforce, is that technology was not driving the economy in the way that it is now. So I think, not to compare, but to compare, as adults, we are a lot busier than our parents were, because of the fact that like the work day is a lot longer. The world is busier. Expectations are a lot heavier. It's harder. Life is hard.
Well, I also truly feel like you don't really leave work, because at the end of the day, you might have emails on your phone. You might bring your laptop home. When our parents were going through that, they didn't have that. They left their office. They closed down their desktop and were like, all right, see you tomorrow.
If they had a desktop, they had their DOS.
Valid.
Like covered their typewriter and went about their day.
Exactly. But now your employer can reach you at all times of the day. And I also feel like social media doesn't help either. Because you see things on social media, especially being a mom, and you see all these like moms like creating these like perfect bento boxes for their child's daycare. Oh, this perfect birthday party. Oh, such healthy dinners. Oh, we go for walks every night. I'm just like, bitch, I'm tired. How are you doing that?
Those are usually...
I know I'm a good mom, but like, damn.
You are a good mom. Those roll off my back because I just chalk them up to being type A. And knowing that I'm type B, I'm just like, I'm cool with that. You want to like use cookie cutters and cut out your sandwiches and waste a lot of food so that your kid has like a sandwich in the shape of a panda? Like, that's you. Good for you.
But then I also feel like it puts pressure sometimes on the other moms being like, I should do that.
Oh, yeah.
Why am I not doing that, right? My son went to a birthday party over the weekend, and I was chatting with the parents, and the parents were like, so, like, what's your son, what activities is he in? I was like, ooh, At the moment, he just turned 3. So nothing, because, side note, I'm a single parent on the weekend. My husband works on the weekend. Nothing. And they're like, oh, well, my son's in gymnastics and soccer and this and that and swimming. And I'm like, how, A, do you have time for this? And B, to afford this?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So then, like, that night, I was looking at activities to, like, enroll him in for the summer. Because I was like, oh, my God, am I bad? Am I a bad person?
So I think you're calling out a really good thing about adulthood is that peer pressure and bullying does not change when you're an adult. People don't just grow up and all of a sudden become adults and be like, no, we're going to treat everybody equally, be respectful, consider others. It looks different, but it doesn't go away.
Yeah, for sure. And again, social media doesn't help with that. You know, back when our parents were growing up, they didn't have social media. So they didn't know when Tom, Dick, and Harry went on a family trip 4 times a year with, like, the family, right? Like, they didn't know that. They didn't have that, oh, should we go on a trip? Should we go on a family trip? Maybe we should look into that.
Yeah, there's no pressure to broadcast, hey, I'm taking care of everything and I'm on top of everything and here's all the pictures to prove that.
Exactly.
Or the flip side is, for those influencers, they show you the picture where they're crying and be like, just so you know, it isn't always perfect. Everything is always, can be disorganized. It's like, well, then if that's what the reality is, stop posting all the other posts, because now everything you're showing me is a damn lie.
Yep. I also feel like people don't talk about when you're, an adult, quote unquote, is you lose people. You might lose friends over time. People might die. Unfortunately, you have to go through that when you're an adult. Yeah. And it's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah. Relationships get harder as you get older because, again, you have less time and you have to divide it amongst everybody, and things change. People go in different directions, have different things that they're trying to pursue. Things that bonded you with your friends all of a sudden become points of contention, right? Like, all of a sudden you realize, oh, well, politically, this person actually doesn't share the same beliefs as me, and now this is a problem. Or, become more religious, or become a super mom, and, or something.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just feel like now that I'm older and wiser, I truly value time. I don't care. Like, let's not do gifts. No one needs anything. We're old enough. I just want to spend time with you.
Aww.
I want to spend time with my kid. I want to spend time with my family. I want to spend time with my friends.
I just want to spend time with you.
That's what I care about now. Yeah, exactly. That's what I care about now. I don't care about anything else. I just want to make memories and just be with people.
Yeah. The appreciation of quality time definitely hits different as you get older.
Yeah.
And I think because as an adult, they don't tell you about how much anxiety that you have all the time.
Yes.
The amount of people I know that are on some type of medication to regulate their anxiety is insane versus people that are just like living their life med free.
Right. And all the mental health, people are suffering for mental health reasons. Like, that's huge nowadays as well. Like, there's just so much.
Totally. And I think it's, well, not to do with like the reason why people suffer from mental health, but you never ever feel like an adult, which is why everything can feel overwhelming, is that I do look to certain people in certain situations as like, who is the oldest in the room? Who's the adultiest adult? Because I don't want to make the call. Because you all of a sudden, what they don't tell you as well is that, guess what? All the decisions now are yours.
100%. All the good and the bad and the ugly and the annoying. They're all yours.
And you're like, well, where's the training? And they're like...
Where's the training? Where's the schooling around that?
Like, guess what? You're opening your eyes every morning? That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Where was the, lesson on taxes? Well, maybe there was in like accounting or something.
No, there wasn't.
Where was the lessons on cooking? Where was the lessons on maintaining your house? Where was the lessons on et cetera, et cetera? Nope. Maybe like...
You're going to learn about parallelograms, my girl, and that is going to be important.
Exactly. Home improvement, home renovations, nothing.
Oh my God. Yeah, so another thing about being an adult when you're living on your own is that you have to figure out how to fix stuff, or when it's broken, how to get it fixed.
Yes.
Like what?
Yeah. That's what I say. I'm like, uh-oh.
And also, showing my age here, is how do you find people to fix stuff? I guess it's all internet now, but we used to have this special little book in my youth called
The
the Yellow Pages. Where you had a plethora of people that you could find. So that's how the adults found it. Plumber? Well, here's 76 pages of plumbers. Take your pick.
Right.
Now,
right.
I have to find the plumber that has the best SEO that shows up in the internet search.
And the best reviews, or you ask your friends or family or whatever. Yeah, no, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I still go to my mom or my dad or my brother. They're the adultier adults, and when I have certain questions or issues. But then it speaks to what you said earlier, is like you all of a sudden realize that your parents are mortal and that they're not going to be around forever.
Yeah. Because as you get older, your parents are getting older.
Like, what?
And it's crazy because it's like, in my mind, my parents are, X age. But then when their birthday rolls around, I'm like, oh my God, you're not that age.
Exactly. And I don't know if it happens for everybody, but it definitely happened for me, that your relationship with your parents change, where it's not, you become at some point equal.
Yeah.
There's no longer a dynamic of like they hold the power and you're the child. It like eventually balances it out, and then eventually you become more the parent figure as they get older and you have to take care of them.
Absolutely. Or they're coming for you. They're coming to you for help for certain things rather than you going to them for
help.
With
their iPhone or their computer usually.
Technology. Yeah. Exactly.
What are some other things that shocked you about adulthood?
Probably just the money aspect. Not that I'm like, oh my God, living paycheck to paycheck, but money is always a forefront in my mind. Where can we put our money? Where can we save our money? Oh, we need to, do this for our son. Oh, I want to, register in this program. It's going to cost this much money. Oh, I have an education savings account for my kids. Okay, that's good. We're putting this much a month away.
Oh my God.
Okay, so maybe we could, go on a trip because we have this much. Like, it's just always the forefront. Like, how much did that grocery, haul cost? Oh my gosh. Like, just always thinking about money, which is so annoying.
There's so much mental space involved in being an adult when it comes to planning and budgeting always. And in your 20s, you still have a bit of leeway because that's like maybe like your learning curve of like blowing all your money and then realizing you have no money, and then you have to live on like ramen noodles until like your next paycheck or some shit.
Yeah.
Another thing I think that you don't realize until I think not right when you hit adulthood, but as you're kind of going through it, is that the world doesn't stop for you or your inconvenience or anything. Like,
yes,
it keeps spinning and you just have to like get up and get on with it, because not everyone's going to stop because you fell and, skinned your knee to check in if you're okay. People are doing their own damn thing.
Totally. And you might have a few bad days, a few bad weeks, a few bad months, potentially even a few bad years. But, the world and your life is going to continue.
Yep. World keeps turning.
Yeah.
And then you wake up every day to do errands. They don't tell you how many errands you have to run as an adult.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Do you know how many times I go to the grocery store in a week? Oh my God, this is ridiculous.
I mean, of course it has to become something that you like have to do with your girlfriends, and has to become its own outing at that point because it's too miserable otherwise. I hate going to the grocery store. I absolutely despise it because it's always exactly what I want to get when I go there is never there. So I'm always frustrated.
Valid. That's valid.
So like,
wait, so do you have one of those services?
Yeah, I use a couple different services to deliver groceries to my place.
Nice.
And we talked about that, I think, in a previous pod, that it's just easier to like have someone lug up like a case of water or something to my place rather than me drag those bags home and dislocate my shoulder.
Totally. No, totally. That makes sense.
Also a thing.
Well, I do want to say that regardless, I know we're making, adulthood sound terrible. It also has perks too. It's not all bad.
I don't know if these are bad. These are just realities. So the good and the bad. But yeah, go ahead. What's some good stuff? You can stay up as late as you want.
Yeah, I guess if you want to do that.
If you want to suffer the next day, you can.
Well, exactly, right? And you have quote unquote freedom-ish to do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You can travel, you can, choose what you're having for dinner, good or bad. You can just do whatever, you can buy whatever you want, You have to be responsible at the end of the day, but you can still do kind of what you want.
Yeah, it's still you.
So it's not all bad.
You're still driving the ship.
Exactly. What were you going to say, Krista?
I don't remember. I was going to say another thing they don't tell you about adulthood is in working that they tell you that, you'll earn everything by merit, when the reality is a lot of times you'll get where you want to be if you are a bit of a brown noser, and you're going to see people move ahead because of that. It's going to be based on them being well liked and agreeing rather than actually what they're producing as output. And that's a reality that they don't tell you when you leave school, because you're judged on your grades.
Yeah, exactly. And if you work hard, then you'll succeed.
Yeah, that's a lie.
To a point.
That's a lie.
It's to a point, really. Also, they don't tell you that the weekends go really fast.
Ugh.
With all of your weekly crap you need to do, whether it's laundry, cleaning the house, getting groceries, etc., having a social life, getting out and seeing people, whatever it is, you blink and it's Sunday night.
Yeah, because you're doing errands and cleaning. There's so much cleaning in adulthood.
Oh my God, so much. That's why I'm like so for the 4-day work week. I'm like, yes, let's do it. 4-day work week, 3-day weekend, every weekend. Yes, please.
I think one thing about adulthood you don't consider or you don't realize is that as you get into each new decade, your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s, you can't do it you can't approach it in the same way, because in your 20s you'd work and work and work until you burn out. That burnout comes a lot quicker as you get older. So you have to plan around building out vacation time and ensuring that you give yourself that mental reprieve, because burnout hits you quicker and harder as you get older, because you're just juggling so much mental space.
So true. That's a great point. It's the mental space that I didn't really understand until becoming a parent. It's just the constant checklist in my mind, the constant things to do list that is just keeps rolling, never ending.
Yeah, you're constantly, as an adult, you're in constant risk management mode almost, where you have to be like, here's my plan. If this doesn't work out, then I'm going to activate plan B. When when you're a little bit younger, you can be like, I only expect this to work out. And then as you're older, you realize the reality is it might not work out. So what will happen next?
Yeah. That's valid.
I think we touched a little bit. I think you lose friends, you make friends. Having to find new friends is a lot harder. We talked about this in a previous pod than as you get older. And you don't ever feel like, there never comes a point like graduating from school where you're like, oh, I've reached the maximum knowledge to earn the certification as an adult. You never fucking feel like you figured it out.
But the good thing is, all the adults around you are in the same boat. So you just need to understand that no adult is better than you.
Yeah.
They're all figuring it out, just like you. They may be acting better or putting it out that they're better than you, but in reality, they're just figuring it out as well.
And I think that aligns with as you move through adulthood, choosing your friends and your support system becomes invaluable. The same people that you're hanging around with in your 20s for a good time just probably aren't going to give you the level of support you need as you go through real life shit of like losing your job or losing a parent or, facing some type of financial crisis. Like, you need those type of people, because also in adulthood, it can be really lonely depending on where you are in your life. You'll have those aspects of feeling alone. Yeah,
I agree. You need that good support system around you. And again, it doesn't have to be 20 friends. You just need to have a few close friends that you can rely on.
Just need 3 to 5. And you just need to spend about 200 hours to get there.
Exactly. Well, is there anything else that you can think of? I don't think I can think of anything else. The realities of adulting.
I think the big overarching picture that you start to think about, I definitely think about it a lot, and have been thinking about it a lot for the last decade. I think it happens for people with kids after the kids kind of get to become teenagers and move out of the house, is that you realize that you don't have a sense of purpose, or that having a sense of purpose becomes more important as to just like doing the do. And then if you don't feel like you have a purpose, that can make you feel lost. And as well as you get older, you realize that you are going to die one day. And I know that sounds morbid, but you realize your own mortality. And that is a bit of a mindfuck.
Yeah, I feel like in every stage of life, you have to continue to adjust and be flexible. And like you said, you have young kids, you have to adjust, and then they go to school, then they move out. Like, you have to continually to, whatever the word is, be flexible, be adaptable. Absolutely. I think that's key.
And I think my last thought, I guess, about adulthood is that when these certain instances happen in your life of like, I guess, bad, that you don't actually ever get over it. You just get through it. And you carry whatever knowledge or experience with you as you go forward. But there's no coping mechanism. There's no overarching healing thing to help you basically heal and just, move on. You just get through it, and then you move, you get to the next hurdle or obstacle or the next level up.
Yeah, valid. That's valid. And I think that everything happens for a reason, even though sometimes I hate that.
You start to really do the self-reflection of, if something keeps happening repeatedly in your life, the same thing, what is the universe actually trying to tell you?
Exactly.
I also do believe in karma, and that what you do to others does come back to you. And you hopefully come up with your own mantras or dogmas as an adult, where it's like, here's where my moral compass lies. Like, here's where I'm going to draw the line of right and wrong. School's not telling me anymore what right and wrong is. I have to basically stick to my guns and feel okay with how I'm living every day as a human being. Last parting thing is that your notion of trust changes when you're an adult, I feel. At least for me, where you give people the benefit of the doubt. Now I'm like, okay, maybe before you used to start at 100 and things that you did would chip away. Now everybody starts at 0 with me, where it's like, it's neutral, where I'm like, just going to see where it goes. You're an asshole, you stay at 0. Continue to have positive, interactions with you, more deposits in your bank account.
Got it. So your expectations of meeting people are low.
They are neutral.
They're neutral.
They're at ground zero, just like the lobby. We're at the lobby. There's nothing wrong with being in the lobby, but
and they have to. That makes sense.
You're not starting in the penthouse
and then working your way down. You're starting at the lobby, and working your way up,
just like life.
Got it. Yeah, that's valid. That's good. Well, I think that's good. I think we've opened their eyes to certain realities of adulthood, and that it's not all amazing and unicorns and butterflies and princesses and princes and all that stuff. It's hard. It's tough. But there's lots of ways to get through it and manage and figure it out.
Right.
But there's lots of surprises.
Of course. So just to make this sound a little more positive, because it did get a little somber, is that you are in full control, which is the great part about adulthood. You are in full control. But with that full control comes full responsibility. And these are the things that you have to keep in mind that change and become increasingly difficult as you move through the stages of adulthood. You only have 18 years to just be a babbling idiot, and then it gets real. But you can do whatever you want. You're 27 and you want to be on your mom's couch just playing video games, smoking weed, and contemplating real life scenarios while you sit there doing nothing in the real world. That's up to you.
Yeah, you do you.
But don't complain like the universe owes you something, because you need to put in the work.
Yep. True.
Well, I think this is very adulty of us to give this kind of conversation today.
I think so too.
And very curious as always to see what our listeners think. Please rate and review our podcast. We always want to get feedback and learn. I think I don't have anything further to add to the conversation, Sarah, so I think that we will just reconvene and I will talk to you next week.
Sounds good. See everyone or chat with everyone next week when we talk about, I'm sure, something awesome and exciting and
super positive.
Hopefully helpful. Exactly.
Bye, girl.
Bye.